Hi, my name is Taylor Darwin, and I am going to be talking about performative assessments today and how it can be a good measure for student growth. There we go. So first I'm going to kind of briefly describe holistically what I am going to be discussing, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of historically why this is important, and then go back to it. So specifically, this would be professional development between the math teachers at Louisville ISD, specifically one of their high schools, Flower Mound High School, and the math instructors at North Central Texas College, NCTC. And so the professional development that I'm proposing is to implement performative assessment as a means of assessing students. And performative assessments I will discuss a little more in detail, but it is very much a means of personalized learning and showing and displaying that personalized learning. The reason I am very passionate about this is because the current standardized assessments are not creating an equitable or personalized option for students. I like this quote as well. It says, "Education has the potential to be a powerful mechanism for social change, upward mobility, and social equity, but only if it reaches everyone." Okay, now just a quick historical overview as to why this is even important and why the district would listen to me, hopefully, in the implementation of this professional development. And so when the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, was passed in 2015, it required states to assess their college, career, and military readiness, or CCMR. I'm looking specifically, and I'm discussing specifically about the college readiness, but they all kind of fall into that same bubble. ESSA did provide states a lot of autonomy when passing this bill, so different states have decided on different ways to assess that readiness. And so in Texas, the TEA wanted to, they measure college readiness through TSI, ACT, SAT, AP, and IB scores. So basically, it's very limited to high stake assessments. And so ESSA does not require this college readiness to be taken through high stakes assessments. However, this is the route that TEA has decided to go. TEA gives bonuses towards districts that meet a certain threshold of students who meet this college, career, military readiness. There is a lot of issues that arise with only allowing high stakes assessments to gauge if a student is considered ready for college, say in mathematics. And according to the National Academies of Science, Engineering, Medicine, they have indicators for educational equity. Indicators 5, 7, and 8 discuss specifically how high stakes assessments can impact certain populations of students. And so, for example, indicator 5, there's disparities in performance on tests, which say measures math via high stakes assessment. GPA has been proven to be a better indicator than high stakes assessments. And so if the performative assessments were introduced, students could be accurately measured in their mathematical growth, paired with their GPA and how they were performing in the mathematics course. Indicator 7 is a disparity in post-secondary readiness. There is pretty much no agreement on how to measure college readiness. However, we do know that GPA is one of the best indicators. And so again, we need to consider GPA when looking at this college readiness. And lastly, indicator 8, there's a disparity in students' exposure to racial, ethnic, and economic segregation. Basically, these high stakes assessments are almost targeting these low income and minority students. And so in that sense, TEA should consider another means of assessing college readiness other than these high stake assessments, or they're going to continue to have these equitable disparities. There are more negative impacts of high stakes assessments. Using a single measure does not work for all students. According to Aguilar, if you design for an average person, not only are you designing for no one in particular, you are in fact, excuse that typo, designing for no one at all. Again, high stakes assessments are impacting low income and minority students. So certain populations are at risk right now because of these high stakes assessments. They're not showing a holistic idea of mathematical knowledge or student knowledge in general. GPA is a better indicator versus high stake assessments. High stakes assessments can deter certain groups from even finishing high school or applying for college. And so this is really impacting low income and minority students. And they are being disproportionately displaced in developmental mathematics courses post-secondary. So let me bridge this a little bit to the higher education side, and then I'll discuss the professional development. So on the higher education side, basically you could go two routes. A student who is not deemed college ready could be placed in a developmental, let's say mathematics course, and then they take the transfer level course, say the next semester. So they have to take developmental and then say take their Algebra 1 course. Or there is a new initiative called a co-requisite course where they take the developmental and the transfer level simultaneously in the same semester. The point of the co-requisite course is to provide that support while also taking the transfer level course, whether that be algebra, statistics, whatever mathematics pathway they're on, which is great unless those students don't need to be taking those developmental or support courses. If they could have somehow proven that they were proficient in mathematics and college ready, other than these high stakes assessments, they could just take the transfer level math course. And so if they are in fact college ready, they are unnecessarily spending their time and money on these co-requisite courses that are paired with their transfer level course. Here is why districts may be enticed to, well, it is why they're enticed to only do high stakes assessments. TEA has a bonus system. Basically, they provide thresholds for certain groups of students, and if a district meets beyond that threshold, they get bonus money for every student that they can check the box that's college, career, or military ready through SAT, ACT, TSI score. Schools have to spend 55% of those funds towards improving their college, career, military readiness, but the other 45% they can do whatever they want. A lot of those funds are being used for SAT, ACT, SAT prep, and I personally don't believe that's a good use of those funds. We could be using those funds for more real-world applications. Here's a figure that I took from the TEA website, and it just shows that, say, for non-eco disadvantaged, any percentage that you meet beyond 20% of that population, let's see, you get $3,000 per student who meets beyond that 20% threshold. Or economically disadvantaged, if you say get 10%, however many students that exceeds that 9%, you get $5,000 per student. Same thing for SPED population. Okay, so that's kind of the historical background. or what even is going on right now as to why performative assessments is, or only high stakes assessments is being implemented at most districts. And now I'm going to argue why performative assessments would be a good alternate path for students. And so performative assessments can provide a holistic view of what students can do. It's not just a multiple choice A, B, C, D. The projects that performative assessments could inspire would be STEM related, real world, exhibit organizational and leadership skills, and students will just be asked to create or perform something that's personalized to them, which would tap into their higher level thinking and problem solving skills. And then the performative assessments could be paired with the involvement of a college prep course, which a lot of seniors that aren't deemed college ready in high schools are already taking. And so those teachers could work with the students, and then the assessment, the performative assessment, could be done at the end of the year, say the last 6 to 9 weeks. I will let you read this. I've also provided a copy of this slide. I won't read all these in deep detail if you want to go back, but these are just more examples of performative assessments. It's really, again, it's student choice. And so the students could choose how they want to display their mathematical understanding and their mathematical knowledge from the year. So again, the performative assessments allows for students to choose. That's the big thing. It's not a standardized assessment where they're choosing A, B, C, or D. It is student choice to display their knowledge. And so according to author Nakatsu, personalized learning is tailoring learning for each student's strengths, needs, and interests, including enabling student voice and choice in what, how, when, and where they learn, to provide flexibility and support to ensure mastery of the highest standards possible. And so again, performative assessments allow students to choose how they're going to display that knowledge, and there are positive impacts. So just moving to a system where students can play to their strengths and they have the freedom to be creative and actually enjoy the learning process. Through personalized learning, you will hopefully build student agency, and the students would be empowered to be in charge of their own learning. It allows them to invest time in themselves in something that is meaningful to them, while also incorporating STEM ideas. And then I like this quote. Feel free to read it through our literature in class. So, small scale stakeholder goal. I used a SMART goal, and I created this figure for what a SMART goal is if you're not familiar with it. But again, it would be between the math teachers at Flower Mound High School and NCTC. And the whole point is for us to smoothly transition these students who are not yet deemed college ready, to give them the opportunity to prove that they are college ready through performative assessments. This would need to be done through the collaboration of the high school and college instructors collaboration together. So we would definitely need to create parameters. Students would need to meet those minimum standards that have been created and determined by LISD and NCTC. And the instructors would need to develop a framework for the curriculum and assessment based on the course standards. I would say we would maybe start with 1 or 2 classes and see how it goes, and kind of pilot the program and hopefully see some good results. The plan could be implemented as soon as later this summer or early fall for the instructors to start to meet on this topic. So again, we could meet, depending